Welcome everybody to Division 3 action now between Chris Suarez at the bottom of the screen and Chris Andres at the top. Apologies if I've pronounced either of those names wrong. You can see from the starting message I cut out... Okay, here's a harder free blade. I'm just going to quickly pause that. So Chris Suarez is on allies, which is very similar to humans. So this is much like the humans single mana 1-drop as well. Whenever an ally comes in, it gets +1/+1. Yeah, I cut out the standard match because it just went too long, and also it was Barnt Nexus, which I'm sick to death of covering. It just takes, each match takes about 45 minutes to an hour. Here's Kazandu Blade Master, basically the same as the previous creature. It gets a +1 every time an ally enters the battlefield. So Chris Suarez has bought a deck we haven't seen before, to be honest. I mean, I've seen this on the SCG tour, people play it, but we haven't seen it in our X-Mage leagues just yet. Here's a Thoughtseize. Chris Andres looks like he's on more of a traditional modern deck. But, traditional or not, he's about to take a beating because there's a Goblin Bushwhacker there. It's going to get surged, is it? There's a lightning bolt though to cover for that, so he'll still push the damage with the Bushwhacker, but not as much as he would have liked. Yeah, Chris Suarez, Chris Andreas, and there's also a Christian Stewart in this division, so lots of Chris's. So this is the battle of Chris. Whoever wins this gets to be called Chris for the group. Here's what is this? This is Harabar's Druid, so this is just a mana ramper. Tap in at X mana for how many allies you have. You can see he's got 2 there, and now he's got 3. That's going to be surged. The issue here, as Dark Confidant trades, is that Chris Andres has... Oh, that's a nice play. That's a bit of a blowout, actually. Now 3 cards in hand once he draws, and Chris Suarez is out of cards. But nothing going on the other side. And this card here, I forget its name, but it allows you to copy any ally on the battlefield. But when you don't have any allies, it doesn't do anything. I mean, you can copy the mana ramper, but there's not really much point because he's got nothing to ramp into. Meanwhile, Chris Andres... Now he's got 2 mana rampers. Chris Andres has got 5 mana, but nothing to do with it. He possibly has he's probably sitting on a ton of removal, and there's just no juicy targets to hit on the other side. Yeah, Allies was played around with a fair bit, probably 2 years ago, because when this Ally Encampment, the land that he just played, came out. Because the mana base at the time was much better than it was for humans, but then humans got unclaimed territory as well, plus there's new humans printed that made them more viable. Here's Colligan's command. So what's he doing here? He's getting a creature from his graveyard, and he's going to probably discard, I'm guessing. Oh, and 2 damage. He's not even going to bother with the discard. So probably getting Dark Confidant back here. Yeah, he's going to get Dark Confidant. So it looks like he's on a more traditional Jund build. Here's Raging Ravine. So that's a potential match winner as well. You can see Chris Suarez just has no, at this stage anyway, no interaction. As he uses the mana ramper here. Going to put a ton of power on the board. One of those creatures up to a 4/4. The recording quality is a little poor. This is this card here we're talking about, Jawari Shapeshifter. So enters as a copy of any ally on the battlefield. Yeah, the recording is from Chris Suarez, so you might have his settings a bit low because these cards are quite hard to read and make out. When I actually edited this, I had to read the transcript to find out what each one did. So this is kind of risky, 2 Dark Confidants. It's going to draw him 2 extra cards a turn, but you look at the power sitting on the other side of the board, so I'm guessing the play here is he's holding one back as is going to be a chump blocker to buy himself a turn. But that's a lot of power building up now. So we'll see how he's going to use his Dark Confidence. He's got access to the Raging Ravine if he wants as well. No cards in hand for Chris Suarez, so Chris Andres can safely fire it up. Unfortunately, I'm kind of squinting and I can't make out the power of what those cards are. Okay, they're just discussing. They were just discussing and saying he wanted to roll back. There was a comment there from Chris Andres that rollbacks are frowned upon in the league. That's kind of incorrect in that instance, because Blind Freddy could see that he wanted to fire up the Raging Ravine, but he accidentally clicked past. So if they wanted to, he could have done a rollback then. The only time that rollbacks are discouraged is when they is when you make a mistake, like, oops, I wanted to do something else, can I take that back and do something else? No, you can't. Because to put it in context, you think about it this way: can you do it in paper? Now, in paper, you're not going to say, oh, oops, I pushed F9 and I didn't get to activate my Raging Ravine. But if you went to combat and you hadn't activated it, it would be a different story. But Chris Andres was saying there before damage, oh damn, I wanted to activate my Raging Ravine. So if that was in real life, he could have just activated it and blocked. This is going to be a good card in this matchup. Engineered Explosives for 2, I believe. Yep. The awkward thing here is that there's a Scavenging Ooze for 2 sitting on the other side. But Scavenging Ooze is going to be very good on this battle against these creature-heavy decks. You can see there's an airy interlude there, so that's going to just blow out that Engineered Explosives whenever he tries to crack it. So oh, here's a Bloodbraid Elf, finding Dark Confidant. So this is a much better game here to start with for Chris Andres. Chips him down to 9, so this one's pretty quickly swinging in his favour. But that Engineered Explosives is going to take out 2 of his 3 creatures. Not sure why he chose to use that area interlude there. He used it on the end step, so it doesn't come back until it says the next end step. So he's going to take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's pretty much just dead here. Okay, yeah, so it comes back on his end step. He wanted it for the triggers, I'm guessing. And to gain some life, yep. Up to 16. What? Oh, and Dark Confidant finds a Fatal Push. Fatal Push is a very good card in this matchup. That big Hater Freeblade, I think it's called, in the middle, the big roadblock, it's going to get eaten by Fatal Push. And then once it's dead, it's going to get eaten by the Scavenging Ooze. Well, here's Collective Brutality, so either way he does this, he was going to be able to only eat 1 creature a turn. See if he wants to do it. I'm not sure what the play is here. Is he hoping that he's going to forget about it? He's gone after the Scoos, so Scoos is going to eat in response. Yeah, I think that was the play there. He was hoping to trick him into committing to the scoos, and he does. So I think this one's over. There's another creature in the graveyard as well, so Scoos is going to grow to the extra point required to get this win. So any sort of removal spell here, and we're going to game 3. We'll see if there is a removal spell. Treetop Village. Oh, actually, no, he can just fire up the Raging Ravine, so he's just dead either way. Or Liliana won't actually do the won't make this lethal because that will still be a chump blocker. Yeah, if he fired up the Raging Ravine, it would have just been game over. Oh, game over. So the match would have still gone on. He's going to concede anyway, so we're gonna go to game 3 now. I think Scavenging Ooze is just a really tough card to beat for the Allies player. I mean, I generally play Green-White Value Town. It has Scavenging Ooze, which is not as good as it is in Jund, because in Jund it's backed up by Fatal Push and Lightning Bolt and other removal, so you can easily get the creatures into the grave. Bolt in response so that the creature doesn't grow. Oh, it's got haste as well. Yeah, just looking at Chris Suarez's hand here, I think he just doesn't have the gas because you can see the Jund player, Chris Andres, has 6 cards in hand, and his top end is far better. So once he can get the board under control, then there's no way that the Allies player can kind of come back. So here's Scavenging Ooze again, but you can see Chris Andres is missing land drops. He's only cast 2 with 1 green source. So this is game 3. We haven't actually seen any removal from Chris Suarez. So we have to see how he's going to stop that Scavenging Ooze from taking over once again. Now what is this card doing? Okay, so it's kind of a duress effect where you get to take a card equal to the number of allies that you control. So you can see he was loaded up with Lilianas there. So he's going to get to do it again. I think you've got to take the Last Hope, because it can chip away your creatures. We'll just have another look at see what he's got here. I think I saw a Last Hope in a of the Veil. Oh no, I didn't. It's just of the Veil, Colligan's Command, and Bloodbraid Elf. Well, yeah, he takes the Colligan's Command. I don't mind that one. You can see he needs to draw a black source to play the Liliana, and he needs 2 more lands to be able to play the Bloodbraid. But awkwardly here, he can't get past that Scavenging Ooze. As Scavenging Ooze goes to work. So he's got another ally he's going to be able to vial in now to see what the new card draw is. So let's see what's going on over there this time. Or he'll be able to get the Bloodbraid Elf for 4 mana. Or Engineered Explosives, that's huge. I don't know if he can take it though. Oh, okay, so he can take 4 or less, that's pretty good. Yeah, so he takes the explosives. But he needs some way to pump those creatures to get past the Skoos, because Skoos is 4 power now. But the card's just taken over by itself. You can see he's just continually passing the turn because meanwhile Ooze is getting bigger, it's up to a 4/4. You know, I've said it in a few other videos as well. This is why I don't like Ether Vial decks. Is because there's not actually card advantage. All it does is give you a faster draw, but then you run out of gas. So, say Collected Company is going to net you an extra card. But you can see here each turn he's just playing the. He's playing his allies. He can't this time because the vial's only on 2. His life is going up. He's up to 30, but he's got no way to. It's a 4/4 about to become a 5/5 Skoos. And I just can't see how he's going to get through this. If he attacks and to force to give a creature away, he's just going to give more gas for the Skoos. And inevitably, or I was going to say, inevitably he's going to draw his 3rd land, but Tarmogoyf is just as good. That's a 5/6 Tarmogoyf. So now if there's any removal in Chris Suarez's deck, it's not even going to be good enough because there's 2 roadblocks. And there's the 3rd land, so out of cards, he's effectively had his deck stripped. So what can he do to get past this? I think Scavenging Ooze, big time MVP here. He held out on 2 lands. Yeah, he's saying he fetched the wrong land. He fetched the Stomping Grounds. He doesn't have 2 double black still. The only thing I can think of that would get him out, I don't even know if he plays this in his deck, is I forget what I was saying because I'm just reading their conversation. He's saying he wanted to cast that Fatal Push, but he was clicking okay too fast. Yeah, okay. The land I'm thinking of is Gavany Township. That would be a. He's got a Temple Garden, so he can get one of the greens. He still needs to get a white. Yeah, I think just throw everything in front of. I would have thrown everything in front of the Scavenging Ooze. Or it's hard to see its power now. It might be too big to do anything about. Tarmogoyf down. Another land. It's 3, 4, 5, 6 lands. I mean, he's saying he's land flooded, but He did go through a period there where he got about 3 or 4 creatures in a row. Or Scooz is not doing lethal here, so I just get in for some points here. Yeah, they all come in. Only 5 power though is a bit underwhelming. So we're going to see what the draw is this time. He's going to get another look. It's only a land. In comes Scooz again. So the Scooz is a 10-10 now. It's actually lethal on board next turn. Here's Kabbalah Evangel. What does this do? This is super risky, swinging everybody against the jump play. It's got him to 5. If he tops a removal spell, it's just game over. Does he top a removal? Let's have a look. Otherwise he's got the win, I think. It's a land, so the ally player somehow gets there in the end, I think. 1, 2, or he can actually gain some life with this, the ooze. Which is what he's going to do, he's going to hang back. So there's so many triggers here. Apologies, I forgot to do some of these cards. And the quality is quite poor, so I can't read what they are. Is that lethal? Yeah, it is. So Stephen Andreas has conceded. So 2-1 to the Allies player Chris Suarez, and we're on to Legacy now. I don't even know what this Legacy is. That Legacy Storm? I see an empty to Warrens. Just a reminder, Chris Andres took down standard 2-0, so Chris Suarez strikes back to take modern 2-1. Oh no, I think this is, I'm going to say lands. I'm having a guess there. Life from the Loam and Legacy, I've only known it in the lands deck. As he plays out a Chrome Mox. If this is show and tell, he can actually play the 3 mana now. It's a Lotus Petal. It is a show and tell. So here's, see what he's got. What's he got on the other side? Grizzlebrand. So this could be a pretty quick game 1. Grizzlebrand's going to let him draw 7 cards. and a Spell Pierce. So he's going to draw the 7 cards of Grizzlebrand, go down to 10, but you can see he's got 10 cards in hand now. He's going to gain back 7 life. Here's a second show and tell. This is Emrakul. That's Omniscience into Emrakul. Yep, that's enough. We're going to game 2. So Chris Andres needs 1 win in Legacy to take the match 2-1. There's a Burning Wish there. Street Wraiths that get cycled. Yeah, I don't think it's lands. I haven't seen the lands. Elvish Spirit Guide. Ancient Tomb. So no colorless mana to start with here. Colored mana, sorry, to start with from Chris Andres. So Chris Suarez, I got no idea what he's got going on. I'd be interested to know what he bought in for this matchup. Probably Ensnaring Bridge, I'm guessing, in those colours. See if he's got the show and tell. He has the 3 mana available. Now he's got 5 mana, but he's just got nothing going on. 6 cards in hand, so I'm not really sure what's what. The other thing he could be setting up here as well is Sneak Attack. Or a Through the Breach. Yeah, you can win a few ways. So this puts Grizzlebrand in, so Through the Breach returns Grizzlebrand at the next end step. So he does it on this end step, he still gets to swing on this end step. You're going to draw 7 cards. Surely he can find something this time. Here's Sneak Attack. He's going to sneak in something. What's he sneaking in? It's an Emrakul, and and this game's over. So he quickly takes down Legacy 2 games to 0. And the match 2 games to 1. And you can see 9 points to 4 is the final margin there.